Big Blue Thumb Productions presents the Podlie Podcast. Here's your hosts, Podlie Bill, Podlie Cliff, and Podlie Paul.
Good evening, everybody. Here we are.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Podlie Podcast 195.
Caught me freaking yawning as you turn on the
Hey,
thing.
look at that. I have a much better shape now. See that?
Yeah, we're using a brand new streaming platform tonight for those of you that are watching. So you'll also notice, let us know how it all comes together. Nicole is with us. So we have the chat as we've always had, but we're able to actually embed it into our full stream page. So it should be seen by everybody as well. Nicole, you get the 3,500 points tonight.
3,500. Look at that.
Almost 200 episodes, and we're still trying to figure things out, boys and girls. It is an ongoing process.
So this is episode, did I say 195 or 196?
I can't remember.
195. There it is. It's right on the screen. I should be able to see that in front of me.
Jeez. Unbelievable.
So 195. So we're 5 episodes away from the big 200.
195.
And you can see a little bit of change on how we shape things on the screen. I'm playing around with this new program. So kind of funny how these platforms work for you guys. So this is a yearly thing we have to pay for, and I received an email with a payment that has gone through my credit card for our previous platform, only to find out the cost had doubled, almost probably tripled from what it was before.
When you shot me that number, I didn't believe it.
Yeah. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Hello there, Marvin. Hello there, William Kirkland. So Marvin is at 2,500 points. Don't spend it all in one place. William's at 1,500 points.
15.
Yeah. And we didn't raise anything because it was 2025. We didn't raise the points, by the way.
Oh.
We left it at the same as 2024 points.
They don't deserve
You know what we should do? Raise it by 20.25 is what we should do. So somebody do them. Oh, Laura's going to have to do that math.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Looks like we shrunk. Well, I just have I'm just playing around with the screen shape here right now, Marvin. So trying out something different to give us a unique screen.
Between the three of us, Marv, there ain't no more shrinking that can be done, Marv.
And plus, Marvin, you might have missed it. We've embedded our chat right onto the screen so everybody can read it. So that's why it's actually on our live screen as well, not way off to the side. So
if anybody can sort of just give us a thumbs up or whatever. If you're watching on YouTube, tell us it's coming through. If you're watching on Facebook, tell us if it's coming tell us if you can read the comments on the side. That'd be awesome. Because right now we're not really sure what's happening on the Facebook side, and we're really not sure what's happening on the YouTube side.
Well, I can see it's all YouTube people right now because I can see the YouTube logo.
Correct. It's all
chat,
YouTube people now, right?
that have commented, but we have more people that are watching than have commented. So,
yeah, of course.
Anyway, good to see you all. As I was mentioning, we changed streaming platforms because our last platform doubled, almost tripled in price, and it was kind of weird. Good evening, Brent Clifford.
Brent, how you feeling?
Brent's on Facebook. How's the eye?
How you feeling, Brent? Let us know.
Yeah,
I was thinking about you, Brent. Hope you're doing well.
Can you actually see us?
Brent, how many fingers, buddy?
Yeah. Marvin said he likes to look because of the chat, because everybody can read it as it's going now, which is great.
Okay, well, that's nice. That's nice.
So
cool.
After a little research, we found this platform, which is far less money for our yearly subscription, does more. So,
Bill, I got a question for you. So right now, when I'm looking at the screen,
yes,
the camera's looking at the side of us.
The camera, you got to look at the camera, actually.
Okay, but is there a reason the camera's there and not over here?
Well, the camera's centered for all three of us.
No, I know, but if it's on the center of this thing, of this monitor, because we're watching this monitor.
True. Yep.
Then you can
then we'd be centered.
All you do is
here.
you just a different angle.
Yeah, we can shift that over for the next.
Because right now, when I'm looking at the screen, I noticed that people are subjected to this reflection right here.
Yeah,
that's why I wear a hat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, this is the no hats tour for me, and you guys kept the hats.
Yeah. Brent says all is good. Marvin says looks close to the same on Facebook. He's got it on there as well for the closed caption. Nicole says the oval shape of the screen makes me feel like it's a 1950s TV.
Just picture us in black and white.
Oh yeah. Hiya, Brent.
Yeah, for sure. So Brent, I think did you have both eyes done already, Brent, or just the one? I know you're getting both done, so I'm not sure. I know you had one done last week. So hopefully hopefully that has gone
I
well.
hope things are well there, sir.
Yeah.
I hope things are well.
Anyway, having said all of that, how was your guys' week?
It flew. It was busy. By the way, sorry guys, I'm feeling great, everybody. If you just hear my voice go off, my voice is really scratchy today, so apologies. I might lose or gain an octave, so apologies to everybody if I don't sound really good. But yeah, good week. We're busy. Nothing busy. Nothing to write home about.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Bill?
Again, yeah, pretty busy week went by. As Paul said, the weeks just seemed to fly by, so it went by pretty quick. Every day I look at the weather and I walk through the garage and see my bike sitting there. I'm just waiting for the snow to go so I can get back out.
Are you guys getting the itch now?
Out
Are you guys
riding.
starting to are you getting the itch? Yeah, but you got the itch in November, brother.
Yeah.
Yep. And the warmer it gets, like you get out. The other morning, I took Doggo for a walk.
Yeah.
And this happens to me all the time.
Mm.
If I walk, I'll be cold. I'll put on a jacket and all that, obviously, and everything else.
Yeah.
And then I walk and walk and walk. And somewhere along the line,
Mhm.
the blood warms up to a point where all of a sudden I'm like 90% more energetic than I was 10 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then I literally feel like quicken up the pace or running a little bit.
Yeah.
So I got really hot and I ran up the side of the burn that I always think, and I got really hot and I basically undid my jacket and I felt this breeze, and it felt like the warm breeze that not warm, but even on a warm day when you're on a bike, it feels so refreshing.
It's a Cliff Chinook is what it is.
And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, the bike, start thinking about the motorcycle.
Well, these days, like I think, what did they say? Tuesday's supposed to be like 7 plus
Something
7 or
degrees,
something. When it's melting like that, you feel
and
that
then
warmth.
we're going to the tank on Saturday.
Yeah.
We're going to the tank.
That's right.
I'm okay,
Brent,
though. It's almost the end of January. I don't care.
Yeah. Brent, you're going to have to, you and I are going to have to take a ride on the Triumphs.
Yeah.
It just so happens that Brent and I ride the exact same motorcycle.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
And what's worse, I guess, or not worse, or what's better, whatever you call it, what's more interesting is that it's not like a Harley where, 60 million people in Alberta have a Harley, right?
Right.
No, we ride a Triumph America, which is not that popular.
Okay.
And we happen to ride the same year and same motorcycle.
Yeah. Wow.
Triumph apparently is not that triumphant.
Yeah.
Well, it's Triumph with the right people.
Triumph hasn't played together for quite a while.
Oh, now we're talking.
Brent said he had just the left eye done, and the next right eye is going to be done on the 22nd of January.
Oh, wow. Oh, well, it's close proximity, though, so that's cool. Okay, cool.
That is good for sure.
Okay, and one last question. I don't mean to torture you about your stuff, Brent. What is the recovery time then? Like, how long do you have the patch? How long before you can see clearly with the eye that just got operated on?
Yeah.
And I'd like to just on Cliff's question, Brent, is you're doing it. You didn't do both eyes at the same time. Is that as per your choice, or is that as per doctor's choice?
He wants to be able to see
eventually. Yeah, see eventually.
I think that's
my mom and dad got them both done at the same time. And that's why I asked. That's why I asked.
I see, said the blind man through a barbed wire fence.
Nicole says, I'm going to be brutally honest. It was frickin' freezing this morning.
Frickin'?
And I was walking for 4 hours this morning from 7:30 to 11:30 in this cold.
God love you, girl. I support you. I support you. Yes. Which school were you at? Let me know which school you were at.
Esther.
Esther.
No, which school she was at picketing.
Oh, yeah. Hang on. With the 3 schools, I think
Ross
Shep,
Emmy Lazert,
and Whiskey Jack.
And Whiskey Jack.
Whiskey Jack.
So I'm just kind of curious, Nicole, how your experience has been today.
Yeah, so were you at which school were you at, Nicole? I'd be curious to know.
So do let us know, because I'm curious, and I support you, girl.
How was your week there, Mr. Cliff?
It was okay. It was all right. Yeah, I'd say it goes too quickly. Just like one moment you're going, oh, Happy New Year, blah, 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 blah. And then the next thing you know, it's the 13th and you're like, oh, yeah, this year is already old. This year is already, like it just moves so damn quickly. Like it's just, it's quite arresting.
Yeah.
When you think of it, especially like the Christmas, I don't know about you guys, maybe you feel the same way, but December comes along, 1st of December comes along, and it seems to be this sort of ramp towards Christmas. Mm-hmm. And then it's Christmas, and then you get this La la la. Oh, Christmas is done, right?
Yeah.
And now we've got a lull till, well,
And all of a
winter
sudden,
lull till
and then it's
March,
the same
probably.
thing to
Yeah.
to New Year's, right?
Yeah.
You kind of go, okay,
Yeah.
all the excitement of the new year and the
Yep.
possible resolutions and what the better whatever we go through, and then all of a sudden, it's boom, it's the new year, and you blink and it's the 13th, right? And we're full swing work and yada yada yada. And I mean, I don't know, it's just such a weird thing. It's
No,
just time to me. Time is a I don't know, man. I tell you,
it's a weird thing. I know we've talked about this, I think, in the past on the podcast, but it seems too, as you get older, time goes much faster.
well, yeah, and I know why. That's the thing, right? I thought about this some time ago, and it drives me insane that happens, right?
Mhm.
But it's a matter of ratios and percentages, right? So basically, if you take a 10-year-old and you say to them, "Oh yeah, that was 5 years ago,"
Right.
to them they'll like, "Holy shit, that was 5 years ago."
Yeah.
Well, to them, it's half their life.
Mhm.
Correct. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you take a 20-year-old and you say that's 5 years ago, now it's only a quarter of
That's
their
true.
life. So it seems
Yeah.
like a shorter period of time.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Right. So when I talk to a 20-year-old and I say, oh yeah, 10 years ago I was doing this. And they're like, oh my God, that's ancient. That's because it's half their life.
No, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. But for you, Paulie, what are you, 70, right? So for you, it's
Sure.
only 1/7 of your life.
Mhm.
So all of a sudden, that's a much shorter time frame.
Yep. Yep.
Right?
Mhm.
1/7 versus 50% of your life, right?
Yeah.
So to a 70-year-old, 10 years is only 1/7 of their life. So it seems like a very short period of time.
Right. Wow.
Right?
100%.
But to a 20-year-old, it's 50% of the time. To a 15-year-old, it's 3/4 of their
One
life.
year, one calendar year, 365 days just seems so long to a kid. From Christmas to Christmas, they wait
Yep.
so long, birthday to birthday.
Again, it's
And-
because it's the amount of life that
Yeah.
they've lived, right?
100%.
So it's a very interesting phenomenon. Einstein once famously said that, you sit with a pretty girl for a minute and it feels like an hour,
Mhm.
right? You sit on a hot stove. No, it's the other way around, right? You sit with a pretty girl for an hour, it feels like a minute. You sit on a hot stove
There
for a
you
minute,
go.
it feels like an hour.
There you
That's
go.
relativity.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Brent says the doctors don't like to do both eyes at the same time. If there are complications, you beef hooked.
I did not know that. I did not
And
know that.
hello, Amy. Hello.
Who?
Amy. And
Oh, Amy.
hello, Laura.
Laura. I like Amy says, hello. That's
Yeah.
what you say when you go home and find 3 men in bed with your wife.
Hello. Brent, if I
I don't-
remember correctly,
I don't
my
know why that's my
folks-
favorite joke.
If I remember correctly, my folks, I think, got both eyes done simultaneously. But again, don't quote me on it.
And-
So,
And they give him a cane and walked around. I don't know.
why? Yeah, I can't. It was long. I can't remember.
Okay, wait a
honest to
minute. Though,
gosh.
Brent, when you do this, don't you have to have an eye patch? It'd be kind of weird to walk around with 2 eye patches.
Hey, Brent, I just got one thing to say to you. Arr!
Arr!
Brent, arr!
He says he can see well out of his left eye, so that's a good thing.
Okay, then. Right then.
Glad you're well, sir. Glad you're well.
Yeah, that is good. So we have some people watching us on Facebook and YouTube, so it's a good mix. And then, like I said, there's those that are watching that have not
There you go.
commented.
So those on Facebook, is it looking good? Is the screen looking good?
Yeah, I'm assuming it should be very similar to that of YouTube.
I'm guessing, yeah.
Anyway, here we are.
Oh,
boy.
almost lost it, Bill.
And I don't have as your drum tech. I don't have another stick. That's
Not
Real
handy.
drum tech.
No, he's my drum tech, that's right.
Yeah, I make sure they're always set in the right spot.
I know every time I come here, the drumsticks are right here. I mean, that's
Just waiting to
that's
play.
right. That's what you call a man prepared as a drum tech. That's crazy.
Excuse me. I don't have a cold, by the way. As I said to these guys, I deal with, I've got mild asthma, and once in a while, as I get into January, for whatever reason, it acts up. And today it's been acting up. So today was my day. Probably in a day or so, I'll be good and won't even know that I have
And all will be good.
Looks like a TV, Laura says.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's good.
Can't ever said I've never been on TV now.
By the way, Laura is now watching us on YouTube and Facebook, it looks like.
Oh, look at that.
By the way, Laura, you're a bit late coming in. So I'm not sure why, but I'm just letting you know you were late.
Which really stinks because we had a whole bunch of points math that we needed you to do about 10 minutes ago. So
Brent says an eye patch just overnight.
Ah.
I'm wearing safety glasses to ensure no accidental contact. That's good.
And you have to keep things dark. Well, sorry, I said it was last question, but I'll stop now.
All right, we're just waiting.
Yeah, we're just gonna be dead air until he answers.
And again, you have to keep things dark. Meaning, are you sensitive to light now, or are you sensitive to light for a while? That's yeah. Like, does it hurt? I'm curious.
And
I'm curious.
lastly, before I kind of mention our topic, you said your left eye is really good. So what's the difference been, Brent, compared to prior surgery and surgery now? Like, is it like top-notch vision out of that eye now that you haven't had for quite a while? Or I'm just curious how it looks. Nicole says, this is to Laura, the sisters are going to fight. Right. Where's the dedication? Skylar has class until 8:05. Laura, I've said this multiple times. We have things like this that you can watch it on. You know, there's
no excuse. You can take us into the shower with you. I mean, with the new phones, come on.
They are there, or if that bought, you can get a waterproof case.
You get a waterproof case for it,
exactly. And you could have us in the shower at 8:00 on a Monday night.
You could have all three of us in the shower right now.
That takes us right back to Amy.
Sorry about that. Hello.
Stick that in your shower and smoke it. Hello.
Yeah, get in your shower. Hello.
Wow, I really want to do that now.
Yeah. Oh, that water's a little hot. Can you turn the temperature down a bit?
Oh my goodness me.
He said, Brent says, I have to mostly rest my eye and not strain in. I use sunglasses if I go outside. Nice.
Cool. So, thanks for being candid about this, Brent. That's awesome.
So the comments just flip to the top every time somebody new comments, eh?
Yeah.
Cool.
Nicole, I mean, there's a hockey game. Yeah, people are watching hockey tonight. I know that.
Okay. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So
I have no words.
Nicole, if you're reminding us that there's hockey, we would love updates, please. Thank you very much for the next 44 minutes.
0-0 at the moment, I think.
Yeah, it's 0-0. Keep us updated, Nicole.
All right. So, and as we're going, like Cliff said, Nicole says you guys are spicy tonight. Marvin was what were you doing in the pool, Marvin? What does that have to do with Brent's cataracts?
Hello. I was in the pool. It depends on the temperature of the water. That's what Marvin's getting at. It depends on the temperature of the water, eh, Marvin?
Yeah.
I was in the pool.
If there's anybody in the shower tonight watching us, maybe bring the temperature up a bit.
Works for me.
Nicole says, Shell Du Bois. Are you in the shower, Nicole?
Right then.
Alrighty. So anyway, let us know, as Cliff said, throughout this podcast, how you're enjoying our whole new kind of branded look for 2025. Change the background up a little bit as well, just for a little bit different. But anyway, so this is a topic, and whether this topic goes anywhere or lasts or who knows, but this just popped up about a week or 2 weeks ago. I just happened to, I don't know if it popped up on a feed I was looking at or something, but anyway, it was about quantum theory that could explain life after death.
Right.
So quantum theory or quantum physics saying that we don't really die.
Is it possible that we continue to exist after the death of the body?
Yes. So I kind of wanted just to discuss that, to get people's feelings about that. Do you think that what they're saying with quantum theory is plausible?
In a word, 2 words, very plausible. From where I sit and my limited understanding of what quantum physics is, very limited understanding, but also quite so from my philosophy on life, I guess, and the things that I've thought about over my lifetime. Reading this, I know a little bit about quantum mechanics, quantum physics, not much, obviously, but I've never had this presented to me saying that this could mean, quantum mechanics and quantum physics and how their understanding of it could mean that that they can prove that we don't actually die. I've never thought of it that way. I've never seen that type of a note or a headline. So it's something to definitely think about. But in two words, it's very plausible based on my very limited understanding of quantum physics, but also based on what I would consider my philosophy and sort of my understanding or my thought of what life is and what life means and so
The
on and so
meaning of
forth.
life. So, well, that's,
And how life
yeah.
started. And
Yeah,
I've had this discussion with people with some people before where just to step back for 1 second, people talk about theory of evolution, Darwin. They're always talking about Darwin and how the theory of evolution is the accepted modus operandi of human understanding. Everybody agrees that Darwin was correct. Well, I'm afraid I don't. And there's mathematical evidence in the challenge of Darwin to say that we don't. But that's besides the point. Darwin at no time posits any kind of origin theory. He posits the origin of species theory, but not the origin of where we come from, how we began. Right. How did life begin in the first place? That is not Darwinian. At no time in Darwinian philosophy has that been part of the philosophy. There is no origin story in the Darwinian principle.
Right.
There's no Big Bang.
Right. I mean, okay, well, there might be multiple Big Bangs. Yeah. But in the Darwinian evolutionary theory, people talk about that and they just assume it's the origin of life. No, it's the origin of species. Right? So far, science works on the principles that, hey, listen, you give us one miracle and we'll do the rest.
Yeah.
So you give us the miracle of the beginning of life, the origin of life, and then we'll do the rest, right? Yeah. So I don't believe that. I'm not of that ilk. So given, like I said, so to move back forward, given my philosophy, I think it's very plausible of what we're finding out in quantum mechanics or quantum physics. What about you guys?
Well, yeah, I as I started looking at this a little bit closer, and again, I, like you, have very little knowledge about quantum physics.
Most of us do,
theory. But as I kind of looked at these a few articles that I found, I'm starting to think, like you said, those two words, it is very plausible, because, well, your human form, the body, dies, but what happens to everything else?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So that's why, as I kind of read through some of these, and it talks a little bit in this, I have an article on the other screen here that we're looking at, but it talks about how people who have had near-death experiences or are close to, dying, for an example, many people report having mystical visions as their vital organs begin to shut down.
Right.
And although many explain the result as a sort of a neurological blip, some scientists believe that it's possible to discover the basis of these for these experiences and perhaps even prove that there is indeed life after death, or at least some sort of a remnant.
See, Bill, this is one of the things that really tortures me, right? People have this meme or expression that says, because science. In other words, everything's explainable by science. The problem is, what really irritates me is when you ask a reasonable question, because they don't have the answer for it, what they do is they brush it off as just not an important question, right? Because they say, okay, well, these people experience this phenomenon, where they see things and blah 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 during the death or when their organs are shutting down. Now you ask the question, why is that? And just about all the scientists out there basically disregard that by saying, oh yeah, no, it's just a blip.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can say that about anything. I can say it about any phenomenon, that it's just a blip. No. If you ask a question of that seriousness, I think science should take that seriously and investigate it and try and figure out what it is that we're...
Because if it's happening on a regular basis,
correct,
it's not something that happens to like every 100th person. It seems to be everybody who's on their deathbed goes through
something, right? So I don't think it's just a blip, and that irritates me when you ask a reasonable question, and because they don't have the answer, right?
Yeah.
They want to stay by their narrative, like let's say whatever the Big Bang Theory narrative is. So they want to stay by that, so they just go, oh no, that's just a blip. Yeah. No, don't just pass it off like that. I think it's very significant when so many times the attending nurses and family and doctors all say that these people saw something and they articulated it clear as day.
Yeah.
As they were passing on. And what about the people that came back after 10 minutes?
They can give you visually what they saw.
Correct.
Right. Right.
Right.
And where were they?
And where were they?
Where were they?
Yeah.
This is very, and I apologize if I'm getting away a little bit, but I think the difference with this is I equate this to me and my. So this is my arm. This is my hand. This is my hair. This is my hat. But it's not me. It's not me. I know where my hand and molecules and stuff goes when we die. It rots. You go up to molecules, and it's in the it's in the zone, and it's in the. What happens to me? What happens to me? And that's what I've always wanted to know.
Okay, so
I've always wanted to know that. What happens to me?
Okay,
my
so
soul,
then the backtrack then is, right, is to define what exactly are we. Okay, so it's easy to say, okay, we evolved into this. I would argue with it, but I would even acquiesce to that. Okay, but we were still, life started someplace. Okay, and somehow life started. Now you could call it intelligent design, you could call it whatever you want, but life started from nothing. Something became. Okay, so we need to define what that something is. If we define it in the context or in terms of energy, we all know it's not pseudoscience, it's perfectly proven science to say that energy does not in any way disappear. It does not dissipate. Energy transforms into something else.
Correct.
Energy is converted into something else. So heat energy is, could be converted into electric energy into heat energy, mechanical energy into electric energy, etc.
Is always matter.
Etc.
Matter is always matter.
And maybe just quickly, Paul, if you can read, I just highlighted a little paragraph from that article.
The article says the most recent case of this in the field of neurology is when the Harvard doctor Eben Alexander believed to have seen proof of the persistence of consciousness after death in his own near-death experience.
Right.
So you have somebody here who is a Harvard doctor
who's a scientist,
who's gone through it. Obviously now wanting to study this further.
He's gone through the tunnel.
Right.
Yeah. So James says the blip is your neurons firing one last time before you die. It's a chemical reaction and includes where your memories are stored. That's part of the light flashing before your eyes. That's a great idea, James. However, that's not actually what happens. There are indeed light flashing in front of your eyes, but it's more complicated than that, my friend. People have reported seeing things that they've never seen before, that they have no memory of. And very clearly articulated these things. And what's even more is children who don't have the experience of the propaganda or the programming of any particular religion or so on and so forth, they themselves have articulated seeing something and so on and so forth. So I get what you're saying, James, but it's not simply neurons firing. It's not simply chemical reactions firing. And why would the neurons fire? Do the neurons know that they're dying and so they fire? No. I don't think it's explainable as, it's just a blip, because it's not. I mean, the textbooks
already said in this article.
Yeah, the textbooks might say it's a blip, but that's because they have no explanation for it. So they pass it over by saying, it's just a blip.
Yeah.
Right? And if the neurons fire the last time before you die, what is the impetus for that neuron to fire? Does that neuron decide that it's going to die and therefore now it's going to fire?
What does that?
No.
Hourglass.
So just quickly, I'm going to get you to read another little paragraph here, Paul.
But Nicole asked a really good question, right?
So do they have a memory of
Saturday? Hey, Saturday.
Try not to have a memory of that.
That's right. So James, I get what you're saying. And I've read that before. It's talked about that, and I've read that very thing. But I don't buy it, my friend, I'm afraid. And I would love to discuss it more in detail as we move on.
Yeah. Can you read that?
Who's Hameroff?
So that his name is he's a
that's the Harvard scientist.
This is a neuroscientist, Stuart Hameroff.
Stuart Hameroff. So the paragraph goes, according to Hameroff, consciousness is based on small structures that are called microtubules and are found inside the brain. The experience of self-consciousness is the effect of quantum gravity on these microtubules, which serve as something like processing nodes. That is, if consciousness is a quantum phenomenon, then it is constituted of the same substance that makes up the rest of the universe, which has existed since the beginning of time and is made up of the geometry of time. I'm going to say, because I like this last part, and is made up of the geometry of time itself. I like how that's worded.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good article, Bill. I'd like you to share it with me if you can. I'd like to read the whole
I
thing.
will. And,
or just put it on the Podlie podcast site.
We can do that as well. And just quickly, I'm going to have you read one more thing, and then we'll go back to the discussion. But you better look at the clock.
Holy Jack, that goes quickly. My God. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the middle of the podcast.
One last one, Paul, and then we'll take out of this article.
Folks, under normal conditions, Hameroff explains consciousness occurs at the geometric plane of space-time within the brain. But when metabolism, which runs the brain's quantum coherency, starts to slow down, the quantum information filters back into the space-time of the entire universe. The remaining consciousness is thus interlaced with everything, capital E, by the way, everything, and consciousness or even subconsciousness may even continue to exist.
Okay, so quick comment on that in relation to what James read about the blip. So, James, given that last paragraph that we just read, considering that what he says is that the information filters back into the space-time of the entire universe. In other words, we are a universe into ourselves. What we know, also the universe knows, because we are slowly filtering back into space-time into the entire universe. The remaining consciousness is thus interlaced, and everything and consciousness, or even subconsciousness, may even continue to exist, because what happens is we literally meld back because we have the knowledge of the universe. Quantum entanglement, right? Yeah, have you guys read anything about quantum? Okay.
I've heard of it, but I haven't really read it.
I saw the movie once.
So quantum entanglement states that any subatomic particle, once they have been linked at any given time, after they're separated through infinite distances, it doesn't matter, they will each act upon the other. So in other words, if you get an electron spinning left and you get a proton spinning right, or two electrons, let's say, one spinning left, one spinning right, and that's the way it started, and then these electrons are separated and moved infinite distances apart. When one changes direction, the other one will change direction. You knew that, Paul?
No.
So that's what quantum entanglement means. So if you start thinking in terms of that, and you attribute it to that last paragraph that we read, as our consciousness changes, the spinning electrons, let's say, as our consciousness changes and our neurons are firing different ways and dying or whatever the case may be, we could very well be altering how the other electrons and subatomic particles are behaving, which then does what? Our dying, let's say, acts upon those in the distance and keeps them, well, they're still operating, they're still spinning, aren't they? It's so complicated, it's fascinating.
Well, let's do this one last one. This is the very last part of this article. Just read that one, Paul.
The theory doesn't mean that upon death we are conscious of ourselves.
Correct.
Or carry with us our personalities.
Correct.
But that our consciousness or memories will return to the universe, perhaps even feeding into a sort of cosmic library.
Correct.
The profundity of ourselves filtering back into its primordial truth.
Right. That's interesting, right? Because the profundity of ourselves, where is this profundity? If you talk to the materialists, and by the materialists, if you don't know, I'm talking about the atheists, right? Who say, who base everything on material. If I can't see it, if I can't touch, if I can't blah, 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 it must not exist. Well, that theory has been long since debunked. You know, first of all, 5 senses, we got way more than 5 senses. Right? Theory has long been debunked, but nobody's talking about it, but it's long been debunked. For 20 years now, people have debunked that theory, right? So, so yeah, in my mind, I don't know.
And I'm reading James's comment here. We're the only species advanced enough to care about what happens to us when we die. It's a big ego thing of humans that we just can't cease to exist, that there must be something after we die here. So just quickly, I'll just say, James, I have to disagree on that for sure, because I don't think it's ego at all. I think it's our nature to want to know
Explore.
explore
We're
what's
explorers.
happening after we die. I've always been a big believer that I think there is something more after you die, for sure. So I don't believe it's an ego thing at all.
I think I'm with Bill, James. I tell you what, we are the intrepid explorers. We are the only species. I like that beginning, but I would then change the comment to we're the only species who are the intrepid explorers of all things, the universe outside and the universe inside.
Yeah.
And as explorers, I think, as a matter of fact, to be honest with you, those who are not curious as to what comes after are actually, how do I phrase this? Are actually denying themselves and or fooling themselves into thinking they don't care.
Right.
We do care because we are by nature explorers and we live a mortal life. And if you spend even one moment of introspection, any human being spending one moment of introspection and thought will wonder what happens next.
Well, all you have to, and I know, Paul, I think you had something to say, but all you have to do is go back in time.
Right.
When you look at somebody that died, or even somebody, say, higher up that died,
Right.
and how they were mummified and put, because they knew they were getting them ready for the afterlife.
For the afterlife,
they
right.
had an idea that something was happening after the physical body
Correct.
was gone. So we've been researching this for
eons,
time
eons and eons and
immemorial.
eons. So that's why I can't think it's not an ego thing at all. It's, people want to know.
Yeah, and like I said, I think in my mind, if a person just spends 1 second in introspection and thought, I don't think the human can be capable of not wondering
Right.
what happens next and wondering if there's something beyond this mortal coil. Because, it's funny, right? In each of us, there is a world. Charles Dickens, at the beginning of his book, it was The Best of Times, The Worst of Times, and he talks about the execution. Tale of Two Cities.
Tale of Two Cities.
He talks about the execution. I think it was that book. He talks about the execution when a man's head gets lopped off in the guillotine. And what he says a whole world comes to an end. The reason is because the world in your head, Paulie, is vastly different than the world in my head.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I can go back now to the beginning and actually address James's comments as well. Now, Deepak Chopra will tell you this. He'll ask the question, are we physical beings? Are we physical beings who are looking for form and taking on form? Or are we only form who became physical beings? Right?
Yeah.
And what are we? We're light. We're light and dust, right? Everybody knows stardust. That's what we are. Even the scientists, even the physical, the materialists, the materialist philosophy says that we're stardust. Okay, well, where did it come from? Where do the stars come from?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you can't tell me that untountable, uncountable, innumerable tons of matter, where did it all come from?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
it's floating around in space. The universe is infinite.
It's there. Yeah.
Laura says, and how do we know that we are the only species to care about it? Well,
we don't, Laura.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We simply don't.
That's a sentience conversation, I think. Okay, so what is who has sentience? Who doesn't have sentience?
Well, I don't. Well, sentience is a different word, Paulie, but and then the other thing is define consciousness, right? A lot of people say, oh, well, the soul doesn't exist. The materialists say the soul doesn't exist. Okay, you can call it whatever you want. In Latin, you call it the animus, right? The bottom line is, what keeps you alive? And don't think it's as simple as, oh, well, it's the chemicals that do this and the chemicals that do that. No. What commands the chemicals? Oh, it's the oxygen and the, well, what commands that, right? In Canada, some time ago, there was a neurosurgeon, I think it was a Canadian neurosurgeon, that actually, when they have the open brain surgery, they can stimulate certain parts of the brain.
Right. Yep.
And what happens, different parts of your body will move.
Right.
So I think it was a man, I can't remember, it's irrelevant, man or woman, but he stimulated a certain part of the brain and she lifted her elbow like this. Right. And he stopped and she put her elbow down.
Love it.
And then he says to her, he says, why are you doing that? She says, I don't know, Doc. Whatever you're doing there just makes me do that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he says, could you please not do that? So she said, I'll try. And then he stimulated the exact same part of the brain. Her hand started to go up. And she put her hand down again.
Yeah.
And then he says, how are you doing that? She says, did you stop stimulating that part of the brain? And he says, no. And he says, okay, well, just let go then. And she lets go and the arm goes up again.
Yeah.
And he goes, can you bring your arm down again? He brings your arm down again. So if the brain is actually in control of your body, what controls the brain?
Brain.
There's a higher power. There's a mind.
That's not
There's gotta be
physical.
something,
That's not physical.
There's a mind.
Yeah.
That's,
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a mind, and people, and when you talk about life, right? Okay, there's life, and people talk, okay, well, there's no soul. When we die, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then what's keeping you alive?
That's right. What is keeping you alive?
In Latin, like I said, in Latin, it's called the animus. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it a soul. You can call it consciousness. You can call it anything you want.
Mhm.
You can call it drumsticks. I don't care.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, something started it,
Mhm.
right? I mean, the sperm is alive.
Mhm.
The egg is alive. So I'm not saying that that was the start of you.
Mhm.
The combination of that was the start of you. But life was already there.
Mhm.
The sperm is alive. The egg is alive.
Mhm.
When did life begin? How did life begin? Not even
It's-
to even mention
Like
the
you said,
untold million tons of matter floating
the
around.
universe is infinite. Somewhere, some sort of,
There's-
lack of better words, a map somehow was created to start bringing this together. Like,
There's
again,
one.
it's
there's,
huge, right?
There's one somewhere, some way, somehow. There's one spark. There's one spark that started it all. That exploded.
Yeah.
There's
Mhm.
one spark.
Yeah. Laura says homeostasis. Laura, what homeostasis is? The stasis meaning the balance, the constant, never ending. Okay. And stasis means staying still. So homeostasis means the continuance of life, the continuance of temperature, the continuance of all these things. Okay. So what keeps your temperature regulated, your thyroid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, keeping you in homeostasis, meaning if the temperature gets higher, your body compensates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what homeostasis is. That does not in any way, address
Right.
the beginning of life. Life has to already exist in order for homeostasis to be a factor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Homeostasis exists because there is life.
Right. So
Because there is life.
here's the theory you guys can, those who are interested can look up. It's
Mhm.
called the biocentric theory. Okay. Or biogenesis or biocentric theory. Go look it up, you guys. It's fascinating. Okay. Because right now the theory is that the earth, let's say, slowly evolved over eons and eons of time,
Right.
and slowly evolved the right characteristics in order for a human to survive, in order for life to survive.
Right. The Goldilocks theory.
Right? So all this time, and even the Bible starts that way, right? I mean, and the earth was void and without form.
Yeah.
In the beginning, God made the earth, and the earth was void and without form,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So, and then it acted upon the firmament, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, in that sense, science and Genesis, they're actually saying the same thing.
Mhm.
So a lot of people say, oh yeah, I'm a scientist, you religious freaks. Meanwhile, if you look at the first verse in Genesis and the first comments of the
They're
science,
the same.
they're the
thing.
same thing.
Kind of the same
It's
thing.
the same thing, right? So anyway, the theory is that the earth evolved, and slowly the chemicals changed, and all the blah 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 happened, and then the oxygen came in to be the right amount, and then all that sort of stuff, and then all of a sudden, because now the environment was perfectly suitable, boom, life happened.
Mhm.
Okay, the opposite of that is biocentric or biogenesis. It says that in order for us to live, we had to have a proper environment, so we created it.
Ergo bio.
Right.
Yep.
Right, so we created it. So biocentric says that fine, we were one cell. Let's go with Darwinian theory. So we were one cell and we divided. In order that the world could support us,
Mhm.
we divided in such a way and then created the little tiny bubble around us. And then when we got to 3 or 4 cells, or 4 cells, blah blah blah, and slowly we created the environment that would allow us, that could sustain us. And that's the biogenesis theory. And I don't know a lot about it, but my God, you start reading it and it's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fascinating.
And I still do go by the theory, or a theory, which is probably is way out there. We talked about vast universe,
Right.
And things like that. But I am still a believer that our planet and we were created by something that's far out in the universe that also monitors everything that we're doing and has some control over, maybe what our consciousness is or what our soul of each person is. Yeah, for lack of better words, I guess. But I've always still been kind of a believer that there is, because even if you go back to ancient times and the amount of hieroglyphics, etc., that showed that alien presence and all this kind of thing, where did that come from?
Where'd that come from?
They were just drawing it.
How would they know?
How would they know that?
Yeah.
So again, that's a theory that's kind of way out there, but I still kind of look at that theory and think, that could be plausible as well.
Yeah, but if you look at the current theories that we have, Bill, right? That's not so out there.
Far-fetched.
That question is not so far.
Yeah.
That theory is not so far fetched. If you look at the other, that there was a pool of chemicals and the sunlight hit it the right way and there was a spark and all of a sudden life happened. I mean, when you start talking about that, like that's so stupid.
Yeah.
Like how people believe this, and then when I say, "Oh no, we were created," I don't say that, but I'm just saying if I said we were created, the bottom line is, by faith, scientists believe that there was a pool of green sludge and then a lightning bolt hit it and there was life. And by faith, creationists believe that something created us. But either way, it boils down to faith.
Yeah.
In the unknown, because neither of us know that.
Know the truth.
Yeah.
Right?
Neither
We
of
don't
us
know
do.
the truth.
We don't. Yeah.
Right? And what
that's-
James says, this nice theory, only one way to find out if it's true. Yeah, exactly, James. And maybe we'll find out. Who knows?
Yeah.
I just wish somebody come back and tell us. Oh, wait a minute. There have been.
Just one. Just one.
Yeah, but there have been, though.
Just,
Yeah.
oh,
There
that's
have been.
right.
There have been people dead for 10 minutes and come back.
And they
That's
come
true.
back.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And there's
And they all
talk of the
and the funny thing is they all have similar stories.
talk of
It's
the white
not
light.
it's not as if they all have completely different
Yeah.
stories. They're
And
all
at least have
similar.
a story.
They have
versus,
a story, and it's
versus come back and go, nope, there was nothing.
no, I didn't see it. There was nothing. I just was gone. I woke up. What happened?
I don't know
Nothing.
too many stories like
it
that.
was black. It
Yeah.
was black.
I don't know too many stories. like that.
Flatliners. It just reminds me of the movie Flatliners.
The Flatliners.
Back in
That's
the
a
90s.
creepy
What a
movie.
great
Creepy
movie. What a
movie.
great movie. Great movie.
And what a theory is that we're going to flatline you to be able to get to what you think you know.
Oh,
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden you slowly transcend the worlds.
Yeah.
Ha!
well, it's wild. By the way, on topic, off topic, Oliver Platt today, birthday. He was in Flatliners.
Yeah.
So that's just why it came to my mind.
Cool. Okay, well, we haven't heard much from other than James. Thanks, James, for the comments. We appreciate that. And good observation.
It's a wild and woolly topic.
Oh, it'd be great. It would be great to sit down over beers and chat,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know anything about, like I said, Bill, if you can post this article or send it to me, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it. It makes sense. But so in sort of, I don't know, sort of further comment, I would like to say that in my mind anyway, as we mentioned earlier, energy does not dissipate, right? And if you talk about the body, even the body itself is made up of molecules and subatomic particles that go back into the soil and get transformed into nutrients.
Something.
Mycorrhizae, what's it called? Mycorrhizae, I can't remember. Anyway, I can't remember my biology off the top. But
Mitochondria.
no.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, it's the stuff that feeds the roots.
Mhm.
And we know that roots and trees of roots communicate underground, and they share nutrients, and we become part of that. So in a sense, our body doesn't die either; it changes form.
Mhm.
But what is the energy that maintains our life, that keeps us alive? The animus, or the soul, right? You can call it a soul. I know whenever I say soul, people take umbrage with that. But the animus, the anima that keeps us alive, well, that is a force.
Mhm.
That is let's face it, we call it a life force.
Mhm.
Well,
Right. Well, what happens to that when we die? It has to go somewhere. It can't just disappear.
my friends, that's why we were on the Podlie podcast for an hour, because we're figuring this out right now. That's what we're doing.
Oh yeah, and
That's what we're doing. We're figuring it out right now. We got 12 more minutes.
Okay,
And
we'll be done.
I realize this is kind of silly, but as you talk, with tree roots communicating
Yeah.
and things like that underground, I'd be curious what they're communicating about.
Yeah, what
down
are they
there.
chatting
Yeah,
about, right?
What
Yeah.
are they talking about? Hey, you're getting too
Hey,
close
you.
to me. Your root's
Yeah.
too close to my root here.
Yeah, or this thing like,
Get
have
off of my property line.
Have you tried that new mineral water that fell on that dude?
Yeah.
Oh man, I tell you, that mineral water that he poured down, that was really awesome. And I tell you what, if you really want to mix it with Tree Jane over there,
Yeah.
she has this really good mixture of other water that if you mix it together, man, that'd be like an awesome cocktail.
And they just dropped some new human in here. Man, I've been growing since that human was put there. I've been
Since the
growing.
human put there.
My roots are great.
But watch that street stuff, because it's laced with something. It's laced with something.
Yeah, but it turns out that they actually communicate and they share. It's if any of you have not sort of looked into that about how trees communicate and how blah blah blah, it's man, it's so fascinating. It just drives me insane that I won't live long enough to understand these things.
I know.
off topic, ladies and gentlemen. I have an announcement to make.
Oh,
Your tree.
Barbecue at Marv's place. There we go.
Marvin says
Barbecue at Marv's
we need a
place.
summer barbecue this year. A get together in somebody's backyard somewhere, basically.
Yeah.
Barbecue at Marv's place. Thank you, Marv. Thank you for that.
And then Laura says, "Stop touching me, LOL." That's what the trees must be saying. And Brent says they're chatting about what to do.
Get your leaf off of my stem.
Saturday.
Thanks, Brent.
Get your leaf off of my stem.
Yeah,
Don't you touch my stem.
yeah. Anyway, it's good that not like you said. It's kind of a discussion that could go on a long time.
That's right.
And there are, this is only one article I pulled off. There are numerous articles about that.
Yeah.
James says, "I love trees, but mushrooms are cooler than trees."
You are not wrong.
You're not wrong, my friend.
You are not wrong.
So how are you making that tree feel?
Yeah.
So are those
not
roots
wrong.
underneath communicating? We hate those mushrooms.
We hate this much.
Let's go truffle hunting, James. Let's go truffle hunting.
Yeah, let's get rid of those mushrooms. They cause too many problems.
Yeah.
Um,
And I mean, just the last thing I'll say about this, Einstein talked about, about the, what do you call it? The spooky problem of the transmission or the what do you call, shit, lost my train of thought. But anyway, he talked about how these two electrons in entanglement, quantum entanglement,
mhm,
communicate instantly, faster than the speed of light, which shouldn't be possible.
mhm,
Should not be possible, but
Yeah.
yet they communicate
That
faster
happens.
than the speed of light.
mhm.
Right? Well, I tell you what, I don't think our human capacity to think is going to be that fast. So when our systems start to fail and things go in different ways, we don't know what's happening. We have no idea what that process is generating outside of us.
Mhm.
Right? And I mean, now they've even done things like measure the aura around you. We know that there's a magnetic field around you.
Mhm.
Right? These are a lot of things that people simply do not think about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we just say, oh no, it's bunk, right?
Mhm.
Or blip or whatever. the
That's
case
why
may
we
be,
need
right?
artificial intelligence, guys, to figure this out for us.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting topic for sure.
Yeah, good topic, Bill.
So-
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes fast. I get very excited about these topics
Yeah.
because they're interesting. And it's not like you can come to any kind of conclusion.
Yeah, you
right?
can't. You
How
can't.
know,
can we?
You can't.
Yeah,
If we
right?
came to a
can't
conclusion
scratch
here,
this. Yeah.
we would be across the world. They would say the Podlie podcast has finally
Has finally solved the issue.
solved the issue of what happens after you die.
Yeah.
So maybe we did figure out how to grow this podcast. We just figure out the meaning of life.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Laura says, "Are mushrooms really cooler than trees?"
Yeah, they truly
Yes.
are.
They are just fungi that can also grow on trees. Yeah, but there's the main point. Mushrooms are fun guys. So, Laura.
Oh, we're fun guys, all right.
I can tell you a dirty joke about that, but I won't. But James, I'm not sure if you're just making fun or not about mushrooms and the double entendre as far as mushrooms go. However, mushrooms really are actually rather cool.
Yeah, they are. They're
Like-
Oh, they're
Unfreaking believable.
legitimately probably my top 3 favorite foods. They
Mhm.
really are.
No, I'm not even talking about food. I'm talking about their systems, their physical systems.
It's
and
amazing.
how
It's
they
amazing.
go. I love the food too. Don't get me wrong, but the systems of mushrooms and how they grow,
Their
etc., etc., etc.
own little biosphere down there and everything. It's really cool. Yeah,
Marvin,
it's really
said,
neat.
Marvin says, "I have some BC mushrooms that are way cooler than the trees."
PC isn't that like before Christ or what?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Those are rather old mushrooms, Marvin.
Yeah, what's a BC mushroom?
Can you add some LSD to that for me, please, Marvin? I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there are certain mushrooms you can take which do different things to you.
Yeah, the effect. So not only are mushrooms cool the way they grow, not only are mushrooms cool the way they taste,
Taste.
Yeah,
but then there are mushrooms that are really cool because of the reaction that they have on you, right? Of how they impinge upon your consciousness.
well, James says, "Want a near-death experience? Try some
Certain mushrooms will certainly give you near or not so near to death.
Do you want to try some? They're going to be on my front lawn in about 4 months, guys.
Yeah.
4 months. You're welcome.
Slightly past near there, James, quite possible.
No,
You're welcome.
James, I'm going to ask you this question because you asked, want a near-death experience? Try some certain mushrooms. So, James, have you been trying mushrooms you're not supposed to eat? Or?
I think James is talking about the mushrooms we are supposed to eat.
Yeah, for sure.
I tried those mushrooms a couple of times, James. Didn't work for me very well.
No,
You ever tried those
wasn't
mushrooms?
magic.
Yes.
Yeah. You ever
Wasn't
tried those?
magic? Oh, yeah, I have. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Yeah,
I-
no, it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I had quite the experience
you?
with them. Yeah.
I fell asleep.
Hey, and
When I
that's
was,
another question. And that's another question about
Mhm.
all these things about quantum physics and quantum mechanics and so on and so forth, right? How come is it that you can take mushrooms, okay, and you can even call this, you talk about dreams. How come you can take mushrooms and have an experience or thoughts so far removed from anything that you've ever
Mhm.
experienced in your whole life? Where does that come from?
Good question. That's
Like-
something else to explore and
Right?
figure out.
And
yeah.
in dreams, you ever had such a dream where it had absolutely nothing to based in no reality as it pertains to your life?
Yeah.
I've had dreams like that, which is absolutely and completely outside the specter of understanding for me.
Yeah, I've had that too. Where you wake up and you've had a dream like that, and you go, "Okay, where did that?"
Not part of my experience.
No,
not
where
part
did
of
that come from?
unless it's
Yeah.
genetic memory. It's not any part of memory. So it was a completely and utterly random series of thoughts that was
Is
created.
it part of past memories?
It's part we
Part
don't
of
know.
past memories.
Right? So that's another thing. Science can't explain that.
Yeah.
Right? We know that we dream. We can explain how we dream. We can even explain why we dream, but we cannot explain what we dream about.
No, and that's interesting. And
Right.
this actually could even go into a different topic. You know, this even goes. We're just about out of time, but for those people that that claim that they had prior lives, they can remember things that happened. Could be, let's say, back in the 1900s.
They actually
They're
remember.
living now, but they can remember exact things that happened, what they were wearing, etc. Back in 1920, whatever. Let's
That's
throw a date out.
crazy.
So it's crazy. Like, you know, where does that
Right.
come from?
So and that's so back to the blip thing, right? When you're dying,
Yeah.
and you're thinking about these things, and James talks about it, the neurons firing, it's a blip, and so on and so forth. Well, then what about when you're dreaming and dreaming about something that is so far beyond or out of your experience or out of your thoughts or out of your life?
Yeah.
Where are those images coming from?
Yeah, it's good
Right.
question. So last comments, James says he knows a guy regarding the mushrooms. Okay.
Yeah, that would be most of your 10th graders, James. That's who that would be.
Marvin said, did you know that you can get high off of honey in some countries? Depends on where the bees get the goods.
That's correct. Yeah, I watched a program, Marvin, where they actually did get honey right from the top of the tree. Buddy just climbs up there
India.
in his
In
little
India.
thing,
I think.
and he comes down, and they actually get high on the honey. You're completely right.
Wow. Well, I'm going to bring this up as we get close to
Nice.
wrapping up the show.
All right.
There's a QR code on your screen.
Yeah, please grab that if you're not subscribed, guys. We're trying to grow this podcast for 2025. So if you enjoyed this, please do share it. Number one. Number two, we can now every week is an event because this new program allows us to create an event. It automatically creates an event.
Yeah.
So now it's very easy to invite somebody. It's an active thing to invite somebody to the event. So when you see
On
the event
Facebook,
show up on Facebook, if you could please invite your friends, that would really make us
Invite
happy.
30 or 40 friends.
Yeah, that would really make us happy, and we'll grow this with this event inviting thing. And it doesn't cost them anything. All they have to do is turn on their TV or turn on their computer. It doesn't cost them any money, and it doesn't cost you anything to invite them. So I'll quickly say this. Thank you for joining us. This was a good spirited discussion. I love it. Those of you who commented and engaged, I appreciate that very much. And I speak for the three of us when I tell you this podcast would not be even nothing without you guys.
Yeah, for sure. And again, if you miss it, watch it on YouTube. Recording is there with comments. Same as Facebook. Go back and watch it there as well. And hey, it looked like the new platform has worked pretty well for us. Again,
I love it.
Grab that QR code and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. And have
If
a
you
great
can,
week.
Sir Bill, if you
Yeah.
can, friends, just copy and paste that QR code too, because in your journeys and in your everyday, you can just give a buddy the QR code on your phone from your phone. You can do that too. So,
All right, everybody.
have a great night, everybody.
Have a great
And
week.
most importantly, stay happy.